Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mediocre Gamers, where we discuss all things gaming. I'm RJ.
I'm Crimson.
And I'm Caleb.
So we're rolling right through the holidays here, and as such, we might be a bit behind on the recordings and our uploading schedule, so we apologize for any late episodes that get up there, and episodes that come out in the future. Also, if you haven't heard, we do have our Reddit page up and running, and you can find that at reddit.r/mgcast. So in the midst of the holidays, we've been having some fun times playing a lot of Destiny, I have to say. But what has everybody else been playing? Caleb, what have you been playing?
I've been playing quite a bit of Destiny, beat Curse of Osiris, which took about 3 whole hours, but we'll get into that.
Or
an hour, depending. And we'll discuss more about that here in our segment in a little bit. But also been playing Call of Duty World at War a little bit, throwback to an old game that I played back in the day before Call of Duty turned to shit. It is also the last Call of Duty that had dedicated servers, so you can actually still play multiplayer. There's still a ton of servers out, people playing. There's little to no cheaters that I've seen. And it still plays very well. It's a fun game. It's also the only Call of Duty that I can recall that has full 4-person co-op for the campaign. Zombies mode plays great still. And one of the things that we had found that I didn't even remember was that you can find death cards in the campaign. They're hidden items, kind of like skulls in Halo, where they offer you a mutator. So once you find them, it unlocks it for everyone that's in the lobby with you. And at any time after that, you can turn X amount of these mutators on, and it changes the way that the campaign plays. So one of the ones that me and my folks had found was Sticks and Stones, which makes it to where the only weapons that you have are your knife and unlimited dud grenades, effectively making it where you only have a knife and a bag of rocks.
Do what?
Mm-hmm. It was a ton of fun. We're just standing in a line across this trench or this tunnel and just chucking rocks at these snipers, and it was a blast. But there's a whole bunch of different ones, like you can only kill enemies with headshots. There's one that makes enemies regenerate health over time, and they also look zombified, so you kind of get a little bit of the zombie stuff inside there, and you can mix and match all of these mutators to create some really just awesome combinations. But that's been a lot of fun. Been playing some Heroes of the Storm, trying to get the Dragons of the Nexus event done before it goes away. And not really been playing anybody new, just kind of rolling the usuals, trying to get our Tannis up to level 10, playing some Rhaegar. Been trying to play Alexstrasza, but she's not terribly intuitive, but she's alright. In Overwatch, I've been able to play a little bit of that recently, and I got to play Moira for the first time against real players. She's a ton of fun. She's a little overpowered, but not so bad. Like, her health drain ability is really, really strong. But she's a lot of fun to play, and not a lot of people are playing her, so I didn't really have to fight with people to try and get her, which was odd. But other than that, there has been the Overwatch League, official league from Blizzard, that just started recently, so that's kind of renewed my interest in Overwatch. Considering that it is a $5 million buy-in for your team. And each season, whoever wins the season gets a $3.5 million payout for their team. So it's kind of been cool seeing some of the strategies that they've been doing and some just really cool competitive stuff that I want to try in Quick Match and just kind of become a better player in general. But other than that, not a whole lot. RJ, what have you been playing?
Well, I've also been playing some Destiny 2, also rolling through the campaign. But when I have been getting kicked to oblivion because of servers, decided to just, put it down and pick up some other stuff. I picked up Heroes of the Storm again, just revisiting some of my old favorites, Artanis, Sergeant Hammer. She had actually a rework, which was pretty neat. Her siege ability is now bound to D, and in its place is it's like a biosteel something or other. It gives you an armor buff for a short amount of time, and it doubles the buff when you're in siege mode. So it gives her a lot more survivability when she gets caught and has to drop out of siege form to run away, which is pretty cool. So that's neat. And then I needed to do a warrior challenge, and I figured, well, I'll play Chen. He's on free rotation this week. Nice big old fluffy panda, and man, he was a blast. Just a good old douse him in alcohol, do breath of fire. When they try to run away, you flying jump kick to them, rinse and repeat. So he's pretty fun, fairly easy to pick up, and yeah, that's that. But I think last week there was an announcement that Eternal was getting a brand new set coming up soon, and we've hence got a little bit more information, got a couple card spoilers, and I found out a little bit more. So I've been really jumping back into Eternal for a little bit and just kind of going back to the regular grind, getting some promo cards, doing challenges to get more gold and all that nonsense. But they do have, they're introducing 3 new mechanics, and one of them they just gave us some information on, called the Nightfall mechanic. So I figured this might be a good time to just briefly run over that, since that's pretty fresh. Sound good to you guys? Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. So with this Nightfall mechanic, the first Nightfall card played makes the game area night, air quotes, and extends by a turn for each player. And then when it is night on the game board, you draw an additional card and take 1 damage. So that's pretty interesting, kind of having this night and day mechanic, and that's just the baseline effect. I think this is a pretty interesting effect, especially the drawing a card and take 1 damage. It really makes this feel like mono black from Magic the Gathering, where you just want to draw cards and go. So what do you guys think?
I think it's also going to be interesting because it is a digital card game. Like most of the time we don't even think about the board itself. But with this mechanic, you could see some visual effects on the board happen, which I think will be kind of cool. I mean, I know it doesn't affect the game at all, but what's the point of doing a digital card game if you can't have some cool graphics here and there too? I'd like to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be really cool to see how this is handled with Eternal, because they've done so well with their graphics and their special effects and stuff like that when it comes to board state. So I think this is going to be really cool as a mechanic, as well as just an added feature to the game.
Yeah, definitely. There are a couple spoiled cards that have a new creature type, and it is called Unseen, so it's similar to Explorer or Valkyrie or what have you. But they all seem to have a special ability that does something at night. Either they can become unblockable, or you get to gain lifesteal and overwhelm for a particular character. So it seems like this new faction is going to really thrive and take this new mechanic and make it their own. And they're out of the Primal and Shadow colors. So kind of be on the lookout for that. But unfortunately, we still don't have a release date, so that's still to be announced. But yeah, that's some of the cool stuff that's down the road for Eternal. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing this week. Crimson, what have you been up to?
Well, I also been playing some Destiny 2. I beat the campaign pretty quickly, probably about 3 hours, same as Caleb there. Although, yeah, I could see you doing it a lot faster on your second and third run. Um, but honestly, I haven't been playing a lot of video games. I've been listening to a lot of books on Audible, and there's three series that I really want to recommend to anybody who has an Audible account. If you have a chance, pick up any of these, book ones of these series. All three of them are really great. They are all in the lit RPG style or genre. Pretty much the Godfather lit RPG is Ready Player One. So think of Ready Player One as like your baseline. Now, most of these are going to be taking place more in fantasy video games versus Ready Player One, which was a more Second Life world versus, anything else. But they're incredibly good. And my three recommendations, the number one recommendation, if Ready Player One hadn't came out this decade, this would be my number one book of this decade. But unfortunately, Ready Player One is miles and miles and miles above any other book out there. It rivals my number one book of all time, which is Ender's Game. The series is called The Way of the Shaman series, and the first book is called Survival Quest. It is done by a Russian author. I am not going to attempt to pronounce the name because I do not want to embarrass myself.
That's that's funny.
Pretty much. But the premise of the series is they have, their virtual reality world. Think of it as WoW. It pretty much is WoW. And instead of having normal prisons like they do now, when you go to prison, you actually get put into a VR capsule and you end up going into the game and you go to a mine or a field where you pick flowers or you mine ore, and your prison sentence, if you got 5 years in prison, you spend 5 years mining ore or picking flowers or whatever. And the story revolves around him getting out of prison because they have stipulations, like if you pay off your fine, if you increase your reputation with the guard, you can go into the real game, but you still have, restrictions applied to you. Super entertaining, fun book. The thing that makes this book stand above the other two series is the character development. It has more politics involved in it. There's more betrayal. There's more love. It's super well done with the character development versus some of the other ones, but really good. And I know I've sent this one to Caleb, so he might have, some information on it at some point too, because I don't know. It's just a wonderful series of books.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it's definitely on my list, and I've honestly heard nothing but good things about it. And since Ready Player One is my favorite book of all time, it is something that I will definitely have fun reading, based on the reviews that I've been hearing. But it is very interesting how they're using an online game almost like a prison. And I find that very intriguing. So I will try to get that read here pretty soon and give you my thoughts on it.
Sweet. Now, in case you guys don't know, Caleb is our residential librarian. So whenever I have anything about books, he's always the first person I talk to because he has a little bit more insight onto books than I do. So I value his opinion more than anybody else in this world when it comes to books. Okay, the next series is called Chaos Seeds. You'll find him under The Land, Founding, Chaos Seeds. I don't know why he's got his books broken up like this, but this, again, I cannot pronounce this person's name, although This is an American author. In fact, he is credited as the father of lit RPGs in America. You'll find that most lit RPG books are either from Russia or South Korea. They really jumped on the bandwagon right away, versus here in America, it's taken us a little bit of time to really get into this genre. But the founding, this series of books is a little bit more slower and a little bit more mechanics driven. So if you like mechanics of, MMOs, you'll probably like this series a little bit better. This series follows a person who was in a virtual reality game and touched something in the game, and his consciousness has been sucked into the game. And like literally it's like he went to another universe through this, and so there's no other players. Everything's an NPC around him. He's the only player. He's the chaos seed. So it's very interesting. It's a little bit more story driven versus, character building like the first one, but still a very good series. And then the third one. Now, this one is incredibly good series. This is called Play to Live. It is done by De Russ, which is a Russian author also. The first book is Alter World. Now, in this series of books, in this universe, they have virtual reality, and they have found that if people spend too much time in virtual reality, their consciousness gets stuck in the game, and their body dies, and they're stuck in the game. They become perma. Now, that kind of sucks, most people would think, but this talks about the main character finding out he has cancer, a terminal illness, and he decides to go perma so he could live forever, but he'll be stuck in the video game. It brings up a huge amount of, just thought into that process, like, holy crap, what would I do if I found out, tomorrow that I had a terminal illness, or I could just jump into a video game and stay. Now, granted, it would suck if you picked the wrong video game, because you're in there for the rest of your, for eternity, pretty much. And it revolves around that kind of that thought process, and I think it seems very interesting. And I've read about 4 of the books so far, so I definitely suggest people give it a try. But that's really what I've been doing, is just reading a lot of books.
Very cool. No, those sound really interesting, and that's I think anybody who's thought about that has kind of done that at some point. What would happen if I was stuck in this video game? So that's really cool. I'm definitely also going to give that one a gander in the future. Nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Alrighty. Well, we were going to think of bringing you folks some of our reactions to Destiny 2 and the most recent expansion, Curse of Osiris. So, I think we're all going to have kind of differing opinions, but I think we also have a lot of the same kind of gripes. So,
it's too short.
You're not wrong about that. That's also one of my gripes. It is definitely too short. And I think Caleb was, Caleb, you described it really well to me earlier. Why don't you go ahead and share that? Because it's better that you do that than I.
Yeah, the story is really cool. The characters are great. Sagira is my favorite character in the entire game, and I wish that I could keep her as my ghost forever. But Osiris was really, really cool. I didn't expect him to be as much of a badass, but also well-rounded character as he was. But besides the voice acting, the level design, and the actual story itself, the game just throws you into a boss fight once the story is finally building up, and then it abruptly ends. So it's almost shock, because you're like, oh, sweet shit is hitting the fan. Here we go, boss fight, it's over, okay, what? And you can probably beat the campaign for Osiris in about 2 hours if you are pushing it, because I basically ran through on my hunter and I only fought dudes to open the red doors and boss fights. You can skip almost every encounter in the entire campaign. And that's what I did. I literally was on my Void Hunter, and I'm like, oh, I'm about to die. I'll dodge and go invisible. Get my shield back, open the door, keep going, keep going, keep going. You can do it so fast. And even if you dial it back and fight every encounter, it's probably about 3 to 4 hours. It's too short for a $17.50 price tag for an expansion. It's
Now, is it too short for a $10 expansion?
I would say at $10, it would have been easier to deal with, just because there's not a lot of content that it actually gives you for story-wise and like actual like in-depth content. It gives you a lot of new weapons and armor that can drop randomly. It gives you a couple of new grinds that you can do, and it gives you quality of life stuff that should have been free. And that's
I think at $10 I would be less upset, but at $17 I'm like, man, I really didn't get $17 out of this.
Yeah, it's the most expensive DLC on the market right now. Because I remember when, Call of Duty map packs were $15 and that was outrageous. But you got, X amount of maps and some other goodies that you constantly played over and over again that you actually got value out of. With this, it's like, cool, I got a upwards, like, high-end 4-hour campaign if I'm taking my sweet-ass time, and I'm paying more for it.
So you're saying it's no Fallout DLC?
No, not even close. In fact, the Fallout Season Pass for Fallout 4 was originally $30, and it came with about 40 hours of extra content. So, sorry, Bungie, but come on.
Yeah. I also remember for Warcraft 3 when the Frozen Throne expansion came out, and then for each of the different expansions for StarCraft 2, like, yeah, you probably paid $15 or something for that content, but you got an entire campaign that you could sink your teeth into with a huge amount of replayability. So I think for me, like, the storyline was cool, but I think my biggest problem is a lot of stuff has been reused. And I think that's something we might also expand on here in a little bit, because when I was doing the Nightfalls and some of the new Heroic Strike content that came out with this patch, it was like, okay, Heroic Strike or Nightfall, okay, we have to beat the boss and beat the level with this amount of time left for Rat King. I think that's kind of what we're all conditioning ourselves towards. But with that in mind, if you apply the same philosophy to this Curse of Osiris campaign, you do just that. You walk by all the encounters, you stop and do what you need, and then you get to the boss fight, and then it's over. So that's unfortunately how it really felt to me. Don't get me wrong, I love Osiris and I love Segura, but yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys on that one.
Yeah, and one of the other complaints that I had, and there's going to be a lot of complaints. There's some good, but we have to get through the complaints first. One of my complaints was that you don't actually get a ton of rewards for the campaign. You get one legendary weapon, and then at the very end of it, when you talk to Ikora again, you get your choice of one exotic. It literally says, choose one option, and they give you one. And it's an exotic that is basically a Rat King but armor. The more people in your party that have it get this benefit. but it does not directly compete with any other exotic because I'm not going to drop my Orpheus rig to put on these. So the rewards felt very lackluster too.
Now, I would like to try a all Aeon armor and Rat King group in PvP and see what it's like, but that'd just be for fun.
Well, we'd all die because it's all Prometheus lenses, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yep.
But no, what I would like to do is I think we should run the Nightfall with the Aeon gear and the Rat Kings and see how it goes. Record it, throw it up on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. That sounds pretty cool.
There you go.
Yeah. And pretty much there's an auto pick for that legendary weapon, Positive Outlook. It's just kind of a Uriel's Gift, except better. But yeah. Speaking of that Prometheus lens, here we go.
Here we go. This is where we're going to have difference of opinion.
Get
guys.
the salt, folks. Get the salt.
So basically the Prometheus lens is an exotic auto rifle that it essentially functions exactly like a cold dart. I apologize. It is a trace rifle. So it shoots a little laser beam of death, and it's supposed to have a little thing at the end that just grows in size and gets more damage and something like that. But the problem is it's glitched this week. So I'm not exactly sure how to describe what the glitch is. All right. Well, then take it away. What is this glitch?
It is the dot. So it produces, when it shoots the beam, it produces a dot on the target and an AoE field. The problem is the AoE field's supposed to be weak, and the dot's supposed to be weak. The main damage is supposed to be from, the hit of the laser. Well, unfortunately, the AoE and the dot are doing as much damage as the laser. So that's why you're seeing a lot of people like pulse it, because it reapplies the dot. And the dot will take 75% of your health. So if your shields are down, you're taking 75 hit damage just from getting hit once, not even from the continuous damage of the laser itself. Now, yes, this ruins PvP. Don't get me wrong in any way, shape, or form. But man, it's been fucking fun because it's just chaotic. It is. The matches are super fast. It made PvP feel different than what it used to be.
You turned it into laser tag.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of fun. I would like to see them do variants. Give us a laser tag mode. That's just fun. But I understand we can't. This has to be fixed because it is just wrong. It is wrong.
Well, I guess we should be careful.
That doesn't mean you can't have a little bit of fun.
I guess we should be careful what we wish for, because we've been saying since launch, man, I wish that they would fix PvP. It's all multi-tools. It's all multi-tool. Oh, now it's even worse.
Now it's Star Wars.
Now it's Star Wars. Except instead of stormtroopers that can't hit anything, it's Prometheus lens.
We got our Battlefront.
Yup.
Didn't even have to buy Battlefront, and I got Battlefront.
Who needs to pay $50 to unlock Darth Vader when I can get a Prometheus lens for 29 legendary shards?
Yep. So, and I think the other thing is you said that the dot goes through shields and goes through walls and goes around corners. Is that right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's like a little spear. So if the laser hits this wall, the spear still is around that focal point. So if you're behind a corner and you hit the corner with the laser, the spear is still reaching out just a little bit past the corner, and it can hit people behind corners. If you're right up against the rally barricade, the spear is on the other side of the barricade. It's a spear. Yep. It's an AoE. And it's still hitting.
Yeah,
people.
Definitely be careful what you wish for there. But so I saw in the announcement what they did was, or what Bungie did yep, we recognize this thing is broken, but instead of having certain people who have already unlocked it have an unfair advantage, we're instead going to give it to everybody. It is now free or not free, but available for purchase at your local friendly neighborhood Zur for a limited time only.
Which they had to do that because otherwise they would have had to cancel trials this weekend, and they didn't want to cancel trials on the first weekend after the expansion comes out. But there was no way they could have ran trials without giving everybody the same advantage as everybody else.
Now, here's my problem with this idea. And it's not that they gave the Prometheus lens because they didn't give it to everybody. They made it available for purchase from Zur. But giving everybody the option and ability to purchase it, that's fine. And me and Crimson had a discussion about this before, about why didn't they hotfix it? And his response was, they can do that on PC very easily, but they can't do it on Xbox and PlayStation because they have to go through Sony and Microsoft to get approval for it. So instead of them waiting even longer by trying to put in for another patch and waiting a week or 2 weeks to get it approved, they are actually putting it into the existing patch that's going to be coming on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. My issue with it is, if you can fix it on PC, fix the fucking thing now. You can mess with Xbox and PlayStation and do their thing, that's fine. But if you can fix it on one platform, fix the fucking thing. Don't make us wait and while you broke the fucking game.
I agree with that. I mean, it could have easily been fixed on PC. And to get more into that Microsoft Xbox thing, both Microsoft and PlayStation and Sony, they do require that you submit the patches in advance. So it would take them longer to submit this bug fix into the system than putting it onto a patch that's already been submitted and saying this is an addendum. Think of it like Congress. It's a lot easier to, put the travel ban onto a bill that's already been passed versus actually voting on something that the American people want or not.
Or the tax plan,
yeah,
where they put, tons and tons of little addendums in there instead of putting it forward as its own thing. And that makes sense.
Exactly.
It makes sense that that's how they're doing it, and that's why they're doing it. My issue is, and again, this comes back down to if they can hotfix it on PC in a matter of a couple of hours, why they're not doing that. And I'm assuming it's because they want all of the patches and all the fixes to roll out on all platforms at the same time. And while I would understand that, Xbox and PS4 got early access to Destiny 2 by a fucking month. So how about you give us PC players something that we need? Like, I don't know, fixing your fucking game when you can, not when you feel like it.
But then you'd have people complaining that they couldn't do the laser tag like the Xbox.
I've got a message for them.
I would be upset. I'd be like, no, I want to play that
I've
mode.
got a message for them, and I'm getting real close to the mic so everybody can hear me very clearly. Those people can eat a bag of dicks.
Oh.
A fiery bag of dicks. I don't give a fuck. Fix your fucking game.
Well, the whole world is on fire when
yeah.
prismatic lens. Just pew, 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 pew.
And Crimson had actually said something great the other day about this. He says, you know what? It's actually still been really fun playing the laser tag. And he's like, I just kind of want to watch the world burn some days. And I'm like, I get that. I get that. My response to that, though, was I would like my $95 investment to not be ran and maintained by a bunch of illiterate 10-year-olds with a box of rose art crayons. Because that is what it feels like when Bungie is doing this stuff these days.
Well, on top of that, and to kind of segue off of that fix your stuff comment, I bet, oh man, you guys laugh now, but oh boy. So,
oh no.
Yeah, this is bad. So that's for like content and stuff like that. But What my biggest problem has been is these server issues and things not entirely being stable. Now, I'm willing to chalk a decent amount of this up to me not having the best internet, but oh my gosh, it has been error code zoo up in here this past week. Man, if I had a zoo, I would have beavers, bees, quails, buffaloes, baboons, weasels, anteaters, rabbits, and then I'm going to feed them marionberries, olives, and currants. Those are all of the different error codes that I've gotten in the past several weeks. And not all of these have just been once. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh my.
Man, okay, so we were playing last night, and I'm just going to give you a showcase of how bad this has been. So last night we were playing Heroic Strikes, and it's like, okay, I've got this really cool ornament that I want to unlock from Zavala, but I have to do Heroic Strikes to unlock each of the different pieces. Great, something for me to work towards. I like it. Well, when we get into a strike, we get about 3/4 of the way finished, and then, contacting Destiny 2 servers. Well, bam, you just got kicked, son. Error code beaver. And I'm like, okay, well, let's, all right, that's fine. Let's just boot it back up, get back in, and rejoin the fire team. Oh, but wait, your spot has been filled in a matter of 30 seconds. Okay, I can't get back in. Well, I appreciate you guys trying to talk to the guy and get him out of there, but nope, you're not getting back in there because this other guy's going to be an asshole.
Yeah, fuck you, Harpy.
Pretty much. This was actually what irritated me about it was we don't have a problem with waiting on you to reconnect or anything like that. Like, we get it. That's totally not a problem for us. What pisses me off is that it almost within 10 seconds for most of them, you get disconnected, and as soon as it shows that you're removed from the fire team, it threw somebody else in. And there is no vote to kick button. There is no way to get them out of there. And since Bungie thinks it's a great idea to not be able to properly communicate with other people, it's really difficult to tell them to, kindly, can you... Yes, but at first, I always try to start nice, which is, I know, a surprise, right? But I try to actually say, hey, our buddy just got kicked and it automatically threw you in his spot. Is there any way that you could leave the team so we could try to get him back in here because he's trying to reconnect? And literally every single one of them either ignored us or did not understand what we were saying for one reason or another. And we had one guy who basically got in maybe... Yeah, Harpy. He's
calling you out, Harpy.
A fucking waffle stomping twiddle dick. But anyway, he gets in, and me and Crimson are just standing there. We're like, no. This is going to be the easiest way to do it. If he's not going to read the messages, or he's not going to listen, then he's going to solo this himself. And he tried to solo it himself, and then we got stuck trolling him for 10 minutes. So it's a problem for everyone.
Yep, I definitely agree. And I thank you guys so much for dealing with that roaring thunder cunt to try and get him out of there. But there was a story that came around after that while I was waiting to get back in. But you guys were there, so I'll let you tell that. But it's really hard for me to be passionate about this game and to play it when a lot of people, and it's not just me, there's a lot of people who have the same complaint that they just get kicked. Like, the servers are not completely stable. And when I spend, 15 or 20 minutes of my time making it almost through an entire strike, get kicked, and then it gets finished and I can't get back in, it's not fair to me, because that's the time that I put in to try and achieve that. And then somebody else comes in and then basically gets a free pass and gets all the rewards that I don't. So that's the reality of the situation. And it's been really, really frustrating, almost to the point, and you guys can attest, where I'm like, okay, guys, I'm done for the night. I'm going to go play something else. Table flip. I'm out.
Yep. And it's only gotten worse since Curse came out, and that's the other thing that kind of irritated me. Was I was getting disconnected, Crimson was getting disconnected, RJ was getting disconnected a ton during the base game. Once Curse rolled out, I was still getting disconnected every so often, but a lot less. Crimson barely gets disconnected at all, and RJ's disconnects are literally, like last night, he got disconnected at least 6 times in an hour. Like, it was literally every 10 minutes.
It's not pay to win, it's pay to play, buddy.
Yeah, so, hey, RJ, maybe you need to spend some money in the Eververse store. Maybe that'll help your connection.
Oh boy, just no comment. No comment.
Maybe that's what they did. They said, no. What we're gonna do is we got caught doing the capping XP gains, giving diminishing returns to get bright boxes. So what we'll do is we'll apologize for that. We'll turn that thing off. Everything will be fine. Hey, you seem to be getting disconnected a lot. Can I interest you in some of these pretty new bright boxes? Perhaps this consumable that says increases or decreases latency will help you out.
Sod off.
Yeah, see, I bought a medallion that ignores 10,000 packet losses. So every time I lose a packet, it just ticks it off of the medallion instead of disconnecting me. It's awesome.
I honestly don't know how I feel about that. But the sad thing is, I could honestly, in this whole microtransaction BS that's been happening recently, I could actually see this happening. Is that too far out of the... is that sad or what?
I don't think it is. I don't think it's too far off. Obviously, this is all... Everybody that's listening, this is all jokes. It's all satire. What we're saying. They are probably not doing that to people. But... Probably. But... This is Activision. They have been shady for a while, and they are in direct competition with EA, so maybe, just maybe, they're trying to one-up EA in douchebaggery.
Maybe. Well, speaking of microtransactions, there was a very interesting change that got rolled out with this expansion, and that has to do with a new ghosts in the Eververse shop.
And I know where Crimson's money went to.
So, Caleb, you also described this one very well to me. Why don't you go for this one?
This felt directly pay to win. This was my issue with microtransactions in this game in the first place. Was we kind of knew this was going to happen. Eventually they were going to start adding stuff to the bright boxes that were actually going to affect the gameplay, and this flew under everybody's radar until Crimson mentioned it to me. But I had never really had incentive to buy bright boxes because they were just cosmetic stuff or whatever. And usually, after level 20, you get some bright boxes, you get some dust, and then you can buy the Fireteam medallions if that's your thing. Otherwise, it was generally fine. Then all of a sudden, with Curse coming out, Crimson was like, hey, did you see the new exotic ghosts? And I was like, oh, I haven't. So I went to the Eververse shop and right-clicked on the ghosts to preview them. I'm like, oh, those look gorgeous. Like, those skins look really, really cool, like the Cosmos one. And he's like, yeah, hover over them and read what they do. I'm like, okay. Increase all XP gains on all planets and gain telemetry data for all elemental weapon kills. What? Increase public event drop rewards and, like, glimmer on all planets. And increase or gain telemetry data for all elemental kills. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yep, that was pretty much my exact same reaction too.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, if Crimson has one of these ghosts, it doesn't negatively affect me. And he's gotten 2 of them. But here's the thing. He spent $50 and got 2 of them.
Oh, no. I've spent more than that.
That was just day one? Okay.
There it is.
But this is incentive for people to buy these bright boxes with real money. This is pay to win. Destiny style. This isn't, hey, your progression is locked behind a loot boxes or anything like that. This is a whole nother monster, because this is, hey, this game is all about grinding, and we have made the grind so fucking long and annoying that we're gonna help you guys out. If you give us some money, you can gamble on seeing if you can get one of these ghosts.
I need to get a slot machine sound effect.
You do need to get a... Considering how much this shit is blowing up, we need a slot machine sound. But you're gambling on trying to get these ghosts that directly make the grind easier. And they are just a drastic 100% upgrade from all the regular ghosts, because they are not tied to a specific planet, they are not tied to a specific element, and they just make your overall gameplay experience better.
Oh, and it gets worse. They also come with a random mod. So, like a good example is I have one that telemetry data on all elemental weapon kills, extra or chance to get extra crucible tokens, chance to get extra strike tokens. And then the random effect was chance to get extra tokens on Mercury, which I'm like, dude, this is amazing. Wow. But yeah, could you imagine if you say you got one that just said gives you resources on EDZ? You're like, oh, I don't want this one. I need to gamble again and try to get the one that gives me, increased rewards at this place or 10% glimmer.
Yeah. And these just take all that away. And one of them that I saw that was just insane was you can view caches from 50 meters away on all planets. So you now don't need the scout reports from Cade anymore.
Mm-hmm. Or those, and it's like you said, it's just a strict upgrade from those other ghosts that say either resource or treasure chest within 30 meters of you on insert planet here.
Yeah. Yeah, now it's just 50 meters and all planets.
Whoa.
And it just... What the fuck? Like, I want one. I really want one. They are not getting my money. But I want one. And it's irritating because Crimson, who has spent a decent chunk of money on these, has gotten 2 of them, so his grind is going to be significantly easier than mine will be. And I get but it's time. It's time in a game that is based around nothing but grinding, and it really irritates me that we got at the high end, taking your sweet time, we got a 4-hour storyline campaign. But what we also got for that price tag was pay-to-win items and more of a grind.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, I'm sitting on 10,000 Bright Dust, so if any of these come up on the buy part of the store, I could easily buy, 4 or 5 of them and try to grind out to get the exact random mod I want to.
Exactly. So it's, I don't know, my review for Curse is storyline about an 8. Everything else about a 3.
That's when we look at the details like that, it's kind of hard to disagree with a lot of that. So yeah, I'm kind of really going to do the same thing for that. But the fascinating thing is we're still going to, or at least I know that I'm still going to continue playing it in the next week or so, and just keep on working towards some of these. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's good stuff coming out next week. We got the faction rally next week. The week after, we have the New Dawn, which is the Christmas event. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of things to look forward to, and grind, just more grind. Oh, that's all it is. More grind. Yeah. But here's another grind.
And
well, the fascinating thing is about this grind, it's like there's something in the back of my mind. It's like yeah, get in there, continue the grind, get that glimmer, get those upgrades, do those things that you want to do. And even though we've got a lot of these kind of negative reactions and critical points, it's still something that, I kind of at times look forward to sitting down and doing. So that's the fascinating thing about all of this.
Yeah, and I do want to put a disclaimer in there that the game is fun. Like, the actual game is fun. We do have these critiques for the game because we know they can do better. And it's not as, hey, the voice lines in this was kind of crappy. I think you guys can do better. No, it's we've seen Bungie make games before, and they've done incredible work. And this feels like a lot of it is lazy development and a lot of kind of phoning it in. So all I want is them to fix their servers, try not to push this pay-to-win shit, because they're venturing into dangerous territory with EA coming under fire so hard. This was not the right time to release some pay-to-win stuff. Even though it's just PvE and just grind-based, it's still pay-to-win. But just, if there's a problem, fix the shit when you can. Don't wait for consoles to be able to have it before you do it on PC. Just, come on, Bungie, do better. But the game's still fun. If any of you guys want to play with us, jump on our Discord, discord.mediocregamers.com, accept the invite, jump in and play with us. You can join the clan, because we do want to play it. We want to do raids. We want to have fun with the game. And having a community to play with and having more people to play with is where the fun is. And it helps us to focus less on the bullshit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And you actually mentioned something that I want to expand on. Like, if I didn't have you guys here, I would not honestly play this game, because playing this game by myself is terrible. I have the most fun when I'm with you guys doing a Nightfall, or some of the other clan members who've joined us to do just random stuff, whatever night of the week. So to me, this game is the most fun when I'm playing it with friends. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
This game is only fun when you play with friends. Let's clarify. This game is not a fun single-player game.
Yeah, definitely. Alrighty. Well, do we have any other thoughts about the Destiny 2?
Okay, and then for our next segment here, it looks like we are going to talk about some Game of the Year awards. Yeah, there are some big names in here. Caleb, did you get a chance to go through these?
What was that?
Did you get a chance to go through these Game of the Year awards?
A little bit, yeah. There were some pretty unexpected ones on there for me. Like, I knew Super Mario Odyssey and Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, stuff like that was going to be on there. Persona 5 flew right under my radar.
You know why, right?
Because it's a PS4 exclusive.
Well, on top of that, they also required that streamers did not stream the game after a certain point.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Because they didn't want streamers to give away the ending or anything. So for the first month, for the first month it was out, streamers couldn't stream past a certain point, which I don't know how I feel about a game company dictating what people do on Twitch. Yeah. But, I can understand their thought process in it too.
I mean,
and I'm not upset about it.
To an extent, but I feel like that comes down to some of our similar complaints with a lot of games lately of individual censorship of streamers being able to play the game. Nintendo's really bad about that. But also game companies telling us how to play the game and locking certain things. Like clan chat in Destiny, but we won't get into that. But yeah, I feel like if you're going to stream a game that is heavily story driven and that's got a bunch of potential spoilers, I feel like just putting a disclaimer up should be enough. Like, if you're going into a stream watching somebody play a game that you're worried about spoilers, you shouldn't be doing that.
Exactly. And I agree. It should be left up to the streamers to... And the people watching. You know, we're adults. We're not kids.
Let us make our own damn decisions. We're adults, or at least we pretend to be. Horizon Zero Dawn being on there made me really happy, because I know how much of a game this was for you.
It really did.
It was a cool experience.
Because this game made me go out and buy a $120 freaking controller for the PlayStation 4 so that way I could play.
That's big.
That's how good this game was.
And I didn't know really a whole lot about it other than, this is another open world game that's trying to capitalize on that market. But this one was like a hidden gem.
Next time you come up, I'll let you play it, man.
I'm honestly looking at getting a PS4 at some point for this game. And obviously some other ones. But the fact that this one was on so many Game of the Year lists really intrigued me. And again, like you just said, Last of Us... there's a ton of great games on there, so I may dabble back into the console market at some point. But PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that one,
I get why it's on there. I get
why it's on there, but it's like if there was an overhyped game ever made, I feel like that was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Yep. That game's good for the first 2 hours.
Yeah. It's also...
And then it's just boring.
Also a game that is so poorly optimized that most high-end computers can't even fucking run it. So it's like... It's...
doesn't show me muted right now.
It's pretty ridiculous. But, I haven't played it, so I don't know. But I also don't really have much incentive to play it. It's a one-dimensional game. And it's never on sale.
Yeah, no, it's not worth buying.
$30+ for a game that I probably won't be able to play because they won't optimize it. I think I'm good. But some really good stuff on here. Wolfenstein 2 is on there, which I didn't expect. I have not got to play the first one, but I own it and I have it downloaded, so I'm going to try to jump into that this weekend and kind of give my thoughts on the first game.
It's fun. Yeah, it's very fun.
There is actually something funny that I wanted to point out about Wolfenstein 2's marketing strategy that I actually just watched a video on earlier today, coincidentally. And it was that it's actually, they went a political route with it, which was fucking hilarious. Because they actually put up an ad that showed the Nazi flag as pictured in the game, and it said, "Make America Nazi-free again." And I'm like, oh my god, did you?
Yep.
Hell yeah. Well, no, my political standpoint.
Off of that note, earlier, right after I think all the Charlottesville. Well, no, actually, I'm going to expand on that. Like when the Charlottesville thing happened, I saw an advertisement for it, and it said the tagline was "the most important game that you'll play of the year," and it was because of the same subject matter. Yeah. I'm like, yep, brilliant.
Yeah.
And
exactly. Who doesn't want a game where you kill Nazis?
Now there was an actual line from the developer. There was an interview with the lead developer, and the interviewer actually asked, "Is this about the president?" And he said, "No. This is about Nazis." And the interviewer said, "Well, you're kind of like, it's kind of a touchy subject, and you're kind of kicking the hornet's nest here." And he goes, and the developer goes, "Well, yeah, we are kicking the hornet's nest, but the hornet's nest is full of Nazis." And I'm like,
do you not remember? We kind of had a thing called a war over this, several years ago.
Yeah. The whole world was involved. Ask anybody.
Come on now. Come on now.
We decided that Nazis were bad.
And
we're allowed to have Nazis in our video games, and we're allowed to shoot them. That's the way of video games. You can kill Nazis.
Yes, all over again. But I thought that this was a really cool thing because it's such a satirical game. And I think that their marketing strategy or marketing campaign message was actually really true. There is a lot of politics going on, and we're not going to dive into that, of course, but because everybody knows our thoughts on that. But it really is an important game in a similar fashion that George Orwell's 1984 was a very important book. Satire reflects the real world and what has happened in history and what may happen in the future. And so I feel like when you can make a very entertaining, fun game that is also satirical, I think that's a special kind of art. And I'm very glad to see Wolfenstein up on that list, especially since it is a reboot of a great franchise, and most reboots fail. So it's really cool to see it on a Game of the Year list.
Yeah, it's overall a really good game, and I'm glad it made it on a couple lists there. The big winner, of course, was Zelda.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We all saw this coming, right?
I knew it was going to be Zelda or Mario. I figured it was going to be Zelda, but it was, Nintendo was winning this year.
I mean, Zelda alone makes me want to buy a Switch. Now, if I could just find one, definitely. That'd be a different story. But, I mean, Zelda, it looks great. It looks really good. And I've watched people play it on YouTube and Twitch and stuff.
I actually had a coworker who, pretty much Zelda Breath of the Wild was what got him into buying a Switch. And he brought it into the office and showed me one day, and I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. And then we had another friend who brought in... we're talking about Zelda, but, no, Mario Odyssey was also on there. We had another friend who also brought that in to the card shop one time and gave us a short demo. So the Switch is doing some really cool stuff, but definitely Zelda. Yeah, they definitely did their thing and took it down.
They did. And Nintendo is doing something else that we haven't really touched on. They are bringing back the old lifestyle of having to go over your friend's house to play a console because they're the only people in the whole fucking city that owns one. It's...
Dude, I used to do that all the time as a kid, man. I would go over to, friends' houses to play Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, and it was the best. It actually made gaming social, and it's nice to see that still going, even though it's due to a demand issue.
Yeah, pretty much. Now the other one.
Oh no, that's what I was going to say. But when I was scrolling through this list, Zelda was a finalist in 6 different categories and won 3 of them. So that was pretty cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then the next game that we saw on there that was nice to see on there was Overwatch for Best Ongoing and Best Esports Game. And then Cuphead for Best Art Direction, Best Indie, Best debut indie game. So that's pretty good, too.
And I'm real glad to see Cuphead on there because it is a little indie game, but it revolutionized art direction.
Yeah, it did. So I definitely suggest people go check out this list. We'll have it in our show notes, and definitely go take a look at this stuff. I think some of these games are, if you don't own them, they're definitely worth checking out and seeing if you want to buy them.
Definitely.
Or not.
And there is one other one on here that I was really glad to see on there, and it actually kind of harkens back to some of the stuff that we've talked about before of games involving mental illness and that sort of stuff. And it's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. And this game is designed to lie to you. And it is to simulate mental illness. So you actually your character has voices in her head, and they will intentionally lie to you. If you go down a path that you think is the right one, and it is the right one, the voices may tell you you're going the wrong direction. And you'll second guess yourself and you may go back and try to go a different path, and it'll lead to nowhere and just waste your time. And that's a very interesting concept to have that sort of mechanic in a game.
That's really cool. I actually really like that. That's exploring. I mean, it's just that. It's exploring something that, we've all, that's kind of a topic to talk about. And it's insane how they can portray that in a game like that. That's really cool.
Yep. And it's actually designed, the audio was designed for 3D audio. So if you wear headphones while you're playing it, like most gamers do, it actually will sound like it's coming from inside your head. Like it'll actually reverberate. I'm like, that's fucking cool. But just, it's really cool seeing a lot of these games getting on there for their mechanics and content that are reflecting on real life and satirical stuff. And it's just really cool. I'm glad to see that the Video Game Awards are in that direction.
Yeah, definitely. Good stuff. Do we have any other comments on the Game of the Year stuff? That's awesome.
I'm good.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be checking out a couple of these. So, alrighty. Well, thank you guys for listening. We do have one more brief announcement. If anybody is interested in a t-shirt or a playmat, please contact us. Let us know. Hit us up in Discord, Facebook, however you can get a hold of us. And once we get enough interest together, we'll do an order, because I know a lot of our followers have been interested in some of these things. So if you're interested, let us know and we'll hook you up. As always, thank you for listening, and you can always check out our previous episodes at mediocregamers.com, and do check us out on iTunes and Google Play. Keep up to date with us on Facebook and Twitter at 2mediocregamers. Chat with us on Discord at discord.mediocregamers.com. Come on over, check out our YouTube page where we will post some gameplay videos and all sorts of stuff. You can find a link on our Facebook page as well as on the left-hand tab of mediocregamers.com. And we'll also post a link in the show notes as well, and on Reddit. So, I'm RJ.
I'm Crimson.
And I'm Caleb.
We are Mediocre Gamers, and until next time, get out there and play some games.